Welcome to the Esoerotic Dark Feminine Magic Podcast. My name is Crimson, creatrix of Esoeroticism, and I help mystically minded folks awaken their dark feminine magic. Welcome to the Portal of Enchantment. Welcome, Tara Valkyrie, to our Esoerotic Dark Feminine podcast. You all know Tara. She brings our monthly astro report, but through the lens of the dark feminine. We always talk about how these astrological energies affect us as dark feminine magicians and witches. So, Tara, it's October. It is bewitching season.
Yes, spooky season.
It's spooky season. What are the main energies we have to look forward to?
So October is really fascinating. It's a big turning point. But to distill down the main energies, we've got a lot of focus on relationships and on sovereignty. It's really fascinating. It's kind of like September was, we obviously came through the eclipses. We had the
We survived.
we lived, yeah, here we are. Need one of those dorky shirts that's like, I survived the eclipse and all I got was this dorky shirt.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like September was, we're in the snow globe and it's all shaken up. And then October is where things just start to land.
Oh, praise.
And
Praise.
yeah. And so, I mean, we're still in the eclipse energies for the next 6 months, which I think I talked about last month.
Well, we're always in eclipse energy from some damn eclipse.
Right, yeah.
Like, we're not in the damn heart of it, It's still like the energy affects us because we're technically, right, always affected by some kind of eclipse energy because they last. And so, and there's 2 to 3 eclipses per year. So you can't escape it.
Right, exactly. We're in it. And there's lots of, opinions on it, but typically the first 3 months of the eclipse, after the eclipse is like the most potent time. But really, I mean, you're absolutely right. We're in it all the time. We're navigating these changes. We have free will, so like it's fine. It's fine. We got this.
We're killing it. We're killing it.
Yeah. And I mean, eclipses are just catalysts that propel us forward wherever we need to be, whether that is an opportunity, whether that's just like inner awareness, like inner realization, or whether it's a release and I've said this before, typically whatever ends or is taken away, if we sit there for a minute, we're like, oh, okay, I knew that.
Yeah. And if people want to understand eclipse energy better, make sure you go back and watch the September astrology podcast because we went deep into it. So
yeah. And like this month so it's interesting. We have a lot of air energy because we're in Libra season now. We start October in Libra season. That's cardinal air. We've got Pluto is currently in retrograde, but on over the 13th and 14th of October, it goes direct in Aquarius. And then we also have Uranus in Gemini. So we've got all the air energies, in motion. And then, of course, later in October, we get into Scorpio season, which, we all know about Scorpio season, aptly named the spooky times. But the big thing with the air energy, especially for this month, is the idea exchanges. Like we're talking to each other. We're collaborating. We are connecting with each other. And then in a sense, and I mean this always, like I never ever mean anything in a fear-mongering way. I actually mean this in an empowering way. There's a lot of truth bombs that are arising this month. And again, a lot of it is stuff that it's like, if you sit there and think, you're like, okay, I knew this.
yeah, I feel like when you really start to look at astrology and then you start to connect it to like our greater spiritual practices and energy practices, we start to recognize that really things that are not working out for us aren't meant to work out for us. Things that we feel like we have to force versus flow with probably is not the direction we should be taking.
Mhm.
Things that light us up and excite us are probably the things we should be doing. It kind of is just supports these like universal energetic principles that we finally start to listen to
Yeah.
at some point as magical practitioners. So yeah,
Right.
friends, if something's fallen away, wasn't meant for you. Greater
Right. And
opportunities await.
that's the thing is like the opportunities awaiting and an overall lesson that we've been in for a while, but we really start to work with on a personal level is like what you were saying about the whole like, hey, if you're having to struggle, if you're having to push through, maybe it's not meant for you, and that is, it sounds so easy when you say it, and I know like you and I have been in this energy. Our work with the dark feminine is all about embodiment, all about awareness, but collectively it's almost like the collective is kind of getting this crash course in the dark feminine because Libra is ruled by Venus. That is alignment energy. And one thing I'm going to say right now, um, if you jump on the internet and you Google Libra energy, I'm just going to be real. There's a lot of bullshit around its feminine energy and it's really passive and it just wants harmony and it likes pretty things. And there's nothing wrong with liking pretty things. Shout out to Libras. Y'all make the world beautiful. I will also add there is intense strength in Libra energy, in Venus energy. Venus doesn't fuck around. And we're going to, I'm looking at my notes here. Yeah. So the Venus not fucking around, it starts right as, so on the 13th and 14th, when Pluto goes direct in Aquarius, Venus goes into Libra. So then Venus is, yes, it's love, it's relationships, it's luxury, but at its core, it's about our values. And Venus, especially this month, is going to call us out on where we have devalued ourselves.
Ooh, you know what?
Yeah.
I always think of the Justice card in tarot for
Hmm.
Libra, and it really makes me think that things work out for you. There is justice when
Yep.
you are aligned with your authenticity.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is, and again, one of the toxic stereotypes of Libra or the low vibe is compromising to keep everyone's peace but your own.
Mhm.
The higher embodiment of it is that cosmic justice, meaning, hey, this isn't working for me. I would love to find a great way, a way to work it all out so we're all happy. And if not, I'm just going to go ahead and step out. I'm going to release this. Um, and it's not putting up with bad treatment. It's not putting up with something less than we deserve. Not, again, never about diminishing someone else, but about recognizing our power and showing up for ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. And it's really cool because we think of Libra, because it's cardinal air, as this intellectual energy. And it is that. But a lot of this month is about aligning our intuition with our logic because they're both valuable.
Ooh,
Mhm.
yes. Yes, but we've mastered the logic. We know how to overthink things and make checklists and yes and no lists and to research and to listen to another podcast on the thing. I always say that, yeah, logic is so important, but we've nailed it. Most of us
Yes.
don't need to practice logic, you know? Most of us need to
Right.
practice intuition. And so I love that reminder that we're not dismissive of it.
Mhm.
Let them feed each other.
Yes, and it's so, I mean, and it can start as something as simple as we've all been in that experience where we've had a job offer, we've had a relationship, we've had something where logically it sounded great. It was like, "Oh, yeah, this is perfect." I'm using air quotes again. But then something didn't feel right. And then later we're like, "Oh man."
I use this example in our intro series all the time.
Yeah.
You know it was a fuck boy,
Mhm.
and but you ignored yourself because you talked yourself into it. I always say that without embodiment, we can be bamboozled into anything because all you need to do is say words. All you
Yep.
need to do is put on a disguise. And if you're taking everything at face value, then I can manipulate the hell out of you. This is where
Yeah.
the intuition comes in, and
Yep.
this is where we learn to kind of have that force beyond what is just spoon-fed to us and a greater knowing,
Mhm.
our spidey senses.
Yes, yes, our spidey senses. And that's just gonna be big.
Ooh.
That's we associate the spidey sense more with Scorpio, but really all the zodiac signs have that strong intuition. It may just show up in different ways. And a big thing that it's gonna help us with connecting to that truth is throughout this month there's a lot of both collective and individually we're facing what we've avoided, and that is said with compassion. We all have avoided things, not because we're bad or because we're not doing the work. It's sometimes we just are like, yeah, you know what, I can't deal with that right now. And it's just coming back around. It's like, hey, I know you couldn't deal with that a year ago, or you couldn't deal with that 6 months ago, but it's really slowing you down.
Would
uh
you suggest that those who have been potentially doing their dark feminine work and have been releasing attachment to things that they know is not serving them and things that have been out of alignment, would you suggest that times like this are going to be a lot more easeful to move through versus people who are perhaps clinging
yeah.
or okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have been in that journey, and a lot, and I know there's a lot of people in the multiverse that, like, it's a daily, it's a daily ritual. It doesn't have to be this thing where it's like we're digging down into like all this growth. It's like when you clean your house. It's easier if you just clean your bathroom once a week versus when you wait 3 months and you're like, oh God, like
Yes, and when it just becomes
ecosystem
like,
in my bathtub, like
oh,
like if you're like doing the just kind of everyday awareness, this time period is not going to be as jarring.
it's why
um
having your spiritual devotions, your dark feminine devotions, your self-care devotions, all of those, your know thyselves, as
yeah.
we like to refer to them, as it's so imperative. That's why we do this work. That's why we talk about astrology, because when we get to know ourselves on this level and we're doing the work perpetually, we don't get
Mhm.
slammed
Mhm. Right.
when the cosmic weather says you had an opportunity. Where are you?
Right. Right. Now, what can kind of happen with this month, so I've talked about it before. We always have a mutable season, a cardinal season, a fixed season. This month, especially as we go into October and the first 2 weeks of October, the energy may feel a bit more intense only because we had this really potent eclipse at the end of the mutable signs. It was like 29 Virgo. So, anaretic degree, that just means it's a very powerful, potent chapter closing degree. So, even though it was a new moon, we were closing out a lot of stuff, which, a lot of things were being dredged up. And then immediately we went into a cardinal season. We went into Libra season. And then we're moving through that. We also have a late degree Libra new moon on October 21st. And then we go right into Scorpio season. Yeah. And so it's like we're really getting this 7-layer dip
Mhm.
of astrological energies, which we get that anyway because the planets are moving, they're all in different signs. But because it is the lunar movement, the moon, we are really feeling this at an embodied level. So it's still important. Like, I'm going to say, if you've been doing your daily awareness, if you've been in the dark feminine work, it's not going to be as jarring, but you still may just need a bit more rest and recovery Just because it's a lot of energy at once, and we're closing out a lot of things in October so we can make space for cool new shit.
We love cool new shit.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay, we have Libra season. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus
Mhm.
is entering Libra. So it's like, I love being here. And you're
Yes, I'm so
saying
happy
that,
here.
yeah. So this idea of like self love and where we actually self betraying and,
Mhm,
not feeling embodied and in tuned with,
mhm.
we like to talk about what you love. If to find out what you love, look where your Venus sign is, right?
Yes.
And so it's really amplifying all this to know yourself, to know like truly what is your unique expression of Venus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No.
then so okay, so how long does Venus stay in Libra?
So Venus stays in a sign for about 40 days.
Okay.
So it's in Libra, through I think it moves into Scorpio. I need to double check. It's like end of November.
Okay. So we
So
got time to
it's in there
soak
for
it in.
yeah, we got time to soak it in. And even if you don't have Venus in Libra, you can look at where Libra is in your chart. And that's an area of your life that when Venus is moving through Libra, you're getting a glow up.
I love it. And this is why we have in the multiverse the natal chart night
Mhm.
where we learned how to read our natal charts and how to see that. So that's a really good way. So look up your natal chart.
Yeah.
Where is Libra? Get ready for Venus to bless you
Yes.
with all of the Venusy things.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, Venus does not get enough credit for how powerful it is.
Oh, it's like the
Yeah,
feminine is underrated or something like that. "Oh, you're just soft and weak and a nice to have." Wait, isn't that "Oh, you're
right.
a fucking bubble bath. Cute."
Right. And Venus is very powerful because Venus is about our values, and then Venus is also about the death and the rebirth.
Oh, I did
Um
not know this. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So fun little factoid. In mundane astrology, when astrologers are looking at like when someone's physical death may occur, they will look at where Venus is in relation in aspect to their other planets, and it's a strong indicator of when we are departing the mortal coil.
Oh, so interesting. And yes, what we value. So it's why what I value may be different from what your
Yeah,
friend values. And I think, I don't use that enough to describe Venus. Again, like it's what do you value? Look where your Venus sign is. So, this is so wonderful. So,
yeah,
looking
yeah.
forward
And
to
it's
all of this.
Yes, and I mean, it's so important, like, and Venus is a personal planet. Like Mercury, Venus, Mars are our personal planets, meaning whatever they're doing, wherever they're transiting, we're feeling that energy on the more personal level than say like Saturn and Jupiter. We're gonna feel that, but that's also a lot about society.
Got it.
Um, and it's so like, especially right now with Venus's transit through Libra, because Venus is going to make an interaction. It's going to make an opposition to Neptune. It's going to trine Pluto again on October 13th and 14th. Um, that's a
Right,
big
right.
day. That's like a big 24 hours as far as
Everyone open your calendar 13th and 14th. Pluto goes direct in Aquarius and trines Venus. What does this mean for us, Tara?
So basically, what that means to distill it down is one, at the collective level, the power dynamics get flipped. And we personally, so it can go, there's always a spectrum of energy. At the highest vibration, we have some realizations about the way we've been living our lives, the way we've been going after things, what we have been valuing because we were told to value it, or what we have been rebelling against simply because it's the status quo, and maybe that rebellion doesn't actually align with who we are. I'm not saying we're going to become sellouts, but being aware of where you focus, because one of our most valuable resources that we can never ever get back is time, and time is power. And so that that big kind of planetary thing, and I'll go ahead and say it again. So Venus opposes Neptune, and then Venus also trines Pluto. So it's a big awakening. It can also, anytime we're interacting with Neptune, sometimes things can be a bit foggy. But what I find is, again, going back to the embodiment, when we center within ourselves, when we find whatever practice it may be, whether that's esoerotic movement, whether that's journaling, because that's a body activity,
Mhm.
whatever it may be, when we allow ourselves to be still, that's when Neptune starts to dispense the truth. And it's similar to eclipses. It's like, oh, yeah, I knew that already. I just have been too up here or too distracted or whatever. And collectively, mid October is where we really start to see um, a lot of what we're aware of the stuff that we're like, okay, yeah, this is marketing bullshit, or this is what we've been fed by the collective and we're rejecting. But then we're going to get to another layer and kind of see, and here's the reality, and it's going to make some people upset and uncomfortable. We have had to participate in this current system. So in some way, many ways, we are complicit. Okay. That's not a judgment. That's just like, you're in the system. You gotta,
If you can't handle that, you need to, yes, life is complex, life is
Yes,
nuanced, and but there's empowerment in that because we're part of it, we can change it.
exactly. Exactly. And that's Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto in Aquarius, one really awesome example that happened recently was, for example, Jimmy Kimmel, had gone on his show, and he was making commentary about the way the MAGA base had reacted to Charlie Kirk's death. And then he was taken off air, and there were a lot of people, a lot of authority figures that disagreed with that because they felt that that was an infringement on free speech. Anyway, where Pluto and Aquarius comes in is Disney had to walk it back because it owned the network that Jimmy Kimmel's a part of, and because they walked it back because millions of people started to cancel their subscription to Disney Plus, and they
Yeah.
were losing millions of dollars. And that was a classic Pluto and Aquarius move.
I sold my Disney stock.
Hey,
Look at
see?
me participating because I was like, no, I'm trying to like be invested in things I'm aligned with. And so, I'm all about sovereignty and, um,
Yeah, yeah,
freedom of expression. And so, oh, that's so interesting. Participating in that, not even knowing.
yeah. That was Pluto, which Aquarius is the collective. It's power to the people. And so Pluto
And
is about
Pluto.
power dynamics. So
Power
Pluto and
to the
Aquarius, that
people.
was realizing, oh, hey, we as a collective have power to change something that we disagreed with.
Which is why, and Aquarius, I always think of community as
Mhm.
well, not just like the mass collective, but also our chosen communities. And
Yeah.
again, this is why I think a lot of times we say community is so powerful, it's so wonderful, blah blah blah, and I think it's also important to see it through this lens where it's like, no, when you have a community, it's going to be more powerful right now because we have Pluto, which is transformation,
Hmm.
which is generationally changing the way that we exist as a society. That is in the energy of community right now. So there
Yes.
is going to be power in community, friends. So,
Yeah, yeah. And it's gonna be big because so one thing to look at is, you can also look at if you've got a chart, you can look at, what's the opposite sign of Aquarius. And if you're a history nerd and an astrology nerd, you can go down this rabbit hole. You can look at a lot of policies, basically a lot of policies that either were officially passed or came to be commonplace during Pluto and Leo, which, by the way, was when the first wave of boomers was born, coming up. A lot of those policies over the next 20 something years that Pluto's in Aquarius, we're going to be seeing big shifts there. Big shifts back to looking at what is best for the collective instead of what is best for the select few.
Right, which would be Aries, right? Like that Aries is the me. That would be the
Yes.
opposite of Aquarius. And so you're gonna see like that Aries energy of, personal, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, rugged individuality. Um,
Yes,
like,
like Aries and Leo energy is very big on, like, if Aries is like individual going forward, which we need us some Aries, but then like Leo, because Leo is on the opposite end of Aquarius, and Leo is very much about the individual ego,
yeah.
and about what do I want, what's going to be cool for me, and part of what we're seeing, what we're seeing the older generations, and then specifically, a lot of kind of the cis masculine is undergoing. Okay, so I'm going to say this nicely, and then I'm going to say how we're experiencing it. Nice way of saying it is they're undergoing a transformation, a death and rebirth. The
Aw.
way we're experiencing it is there's a lot of angry old men, and they're having to realize that their way of doing things, of viewing the world and their expectations, is not sustainable.
It's the death rattle.
Yeah, death rattle, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this because it makes sense of why we're experiencing the extremes that we're moving through right
Yes.
now.
Yes. And it is, and especially too, the other thing I'll say, with all this air energy that we have, I talked about Venus going to Libra, the sun's obviously in Libra, we've got Pluto in Aquarius, and then we've got Uranus in Gemini. And Uranus is all about upheaval. It is about revolution. It's about evolution. It is abrupt change. And air energy moves very quickly, for better or for worse. It is very sudden. And it can, especially with Gemini, but I would say all the air energies, it can change very, very quickly. And on the one hand, that can be really refreshing. On the other hand, that can be overwhelming, where it's like, wait a minute, wait, what, and so
Get in
again,
your
that's why
body.
embodiment becomes so
Yeah.
important, because it's really easy to get lost in all of the, it's like, you know the other reality over the last month on the internet. I mean, I remember following comment threads, and I'm like, okay, first we're fighting about this thing, oh wait, now they're fighting about this, wait, now they're, wait, oh my god, you guys.
Can't keep up.
Yeah, yeah, so it's really important to be grounded, because then what's going to happen is we dive into Scorpio season, and Scorpio is fixed water. And we've got Mercury, will be entering, we have Mars already in Scorpio. We're going to have Mercury in Scorpio. We have Lilith in Scorpio. So we already have Mercury, Mars, and Lilith in Scorpio, stirring things,
Wow.
digging up the dead stuff.
Yes, tell people what Scorpio represents.
So Scorpio is transformation. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars. So it is about intense, emotional driven action.
Because think about the Mars in the water. So it's
Mhm.
like, oof, yeah.
Yes. So, Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. When it's in Aries, which is a fire energy, it's very like, think of a wildfire. It's like it blazes up from nothing, and then it can blaze out from nothing just as fast. If you have your natal Mars in Aries, you may be someone, you get angry really fast and then you let it out and then you're good. If you have Mars in Scorpio, and I'm talking about myself too, because I have Mars in Scorpio,
Revealed.
it's like heating up a body of water. It takes a while, but once it's hot, it stays hot for a
You
while.
boiling.
Yeah, it's boiling. It's boiling. So it's energy that is when you first kind of look at it, you're like, okay, not a whole lot's going on, but really what's happening is the intensity is building. And then it's
Mm.
more sustainable because it's fixed water.
Mm.
Fixed energy is about sustaining something.
And water is our emotions.
Mhm. Exactly.
I got you now. And that's about the 22nd or something of October. We
Yes.
enter the sun enters Scorpio as well. So we'll have a bunch of planets there.
Yeah,
So,
we will. So we're gonna go
oh,
from air Libra diving into the depths of Scorpio.
oh, okay. Okay. So I think I just wanted to make sure we established what Scorpio was, but you were saying before I rudely interrupted you.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. That's a really, it's really important to especially because we have these energetic shifts. So I'm glad that you jumped in and were like, "Hey, tell us about Scorpio." Because at so what happens is the seasons, the signs build on each other.
Hmm.
So when we're in Libra season, we're looking at things kind of, diplomatically. We're assessing, where has my focus been? What do I value? How do I feel in my relationships? How am I treating others? How are they treating me? How am I treating myself? We start to look at a lot of those habits, a lot of those patterns. And then with Scorpio, we dive deep down and it's like, okay, what's the root of that pattern? What's the root of why I again, this, I'm going to say this is going to possibly poke at some people. Why do I allow myself to be treated a certain way?
Hmm.
Why do I allow this thing to still bother me instead of,
Yeah. Why do I
and
allow myself to not honor my emotions or to allow my emotions to control me?
right, right. And and I'm going to preface this with part of being a human on this earth is there are always going to be things that happen that we cannot control, that we do not agree with. Sometimes bad shit happens to us, and there was just nothing that could be done. But we choose how we deal with it and where we focus our attention.
What was the I was meant to write it down this morning. We can't change the facts of what happened, but we can rewrite our story about how it how like rewrite our story around it or something like that. So like instead of this person broke up with me and I'm unlovable, this person broke up with me because they're out of alignment and now I have space to focus on myself and open to someone in better alignment. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
totally wish I would
exactly.
have written down. It was said very nicely. I just
Yeah.
garbled it. But yes, that
Mm.
idea of like, and that takes depth. That takes
Mhm.
like a Scorpio-esque type of like depth of exploration of self to not just stay in your head and ruminate on how something happens to us or try to, it's not even a rationalization. It is more of like a wait, like, can I drop deeper into this and say, hey, I have the
Mhm.
ability to really write the story of what this is.
Yes, yes. And what's also so unique about Scorpio is it's the only zodiac sign that has these four embodiments. So typically, when we think of Scorpio, what most often comes to mind is the scorpion.
Yeah.
But then there's also three other archetypes there is the snake, there is the eagle, and there is the phoenix. So the first embodiment, the scorpion, when we think of low vibe Scorpio, when we think of like vengeful,
Mhm.
suspicious, vindictive, that's the scorpion. What's interesting, nerd alert, the scorpions are one of the only animals that can die by their own poison.
Did not know that.
Yeah, now you know, Rainbow. So the lowest vibe of Scorpio is I'm gonna take you down with me.
Mm.
I'm gonna burn this bridge, I'm gonna stand on it, and we're both gonna go down. Um, and then the next kind of level up is the snake. So it's shedding its skin. It is transforming. But when you think about snakes, and I love snakes. Shout out to any snakes listening. Not trying to malign y'all. But snakes, they're cautious. They're moving through the world, and they're ground creatures. Unless they're rat snakes, then they can climb trees. But they're moving through, and they're going through transformations, but they're still snakes. At the end of the day, they are still on similar paths. They're doing similar things. The next iteration is the eagle. So it has now, the eagle is able to rise above things to see what's going on. But it can still come back to Earth. And, in the astrological canon, Earth symbolizes the mundane, what we know, what's familiar. The eagle is still of this Earth. And then the final iteration is the phoenix, which is this mythical creature that is consumed by the fire. It becomes ashes. It goes through a complete destruction. So then it can be reborn. And that's really Scorpio season is about this deep, deep transformation and rebirth. And it's a big deal.
Ooh.
It's like a really big deal, you guys.
Kind of a big deal. You Scorpios are kind of a big deal, but luckily
Yeah.
we all have Scorpio somewhere in our charts, even if your sun is not in it. And so is that something actually that we could look at what house Scorpio falls in to
Yeah.
where we may actually be moving through some kind of like death and rebirth?
Yeah, totally. It's just like right now you can look at, wherever Libra is. That's where you're
Mhm.
kind of going through, you're
Your
assessing,
thing.
are you living in alignment with what you value?
Mhm.
Are you living within your integrity? And then Scorpio season, you can look at where is Scorpio in your chart. That's where you go through just a realization of, and it's not like every year in October we're all going to go through this crazy deep dive, but what it just means is, in Scorpio season, wherever Scorpio is in your chart, that's an area where you may be more aware of either the transformation you have gone through, or just awareness of, oh yeah, I've been working on, you know, this aspect of, for example, if you have Scorpio in the fourth house, maybe in the past you may have really had to address wounds around your early childhood. The fourth house is early childhood, our foundations. And perhaps now you're looking at it and you're like, oh yeah, wow, I had this really rough time as a kid, and that influenced the how I like to live my life, how I like to set up my personal space now. And
Mm.
so yeah, and it's just looking at where you've come from.
Because when the sun moves through a sign, it illuminates, right? So it
Correct.
shows. And I'm just going to throw this in as an aside. You had your the more you know about snakes. Mine's going to be about for non-astrologers interested in astrology. This is why when you're listening to online um astrological readings, this is why you listen to your rising sign,
Yes.
because when they tell you your rising sign, it's they're doing their forecast based on the houses.
Yes.
And so it's literally talking to where that energy is in your natal chart in your area of life. So I think that, because I know we have a lot of new people who
Mhm.
also listen to this, as well as established astrologer experts. But yeah, this is what Tara and I are talking about right now. Look where this sign is in your natal chart, what house it falls in. Even if you don't know how to do that, start by knowing your rising sign. And then when you listen to these online reports and it says Libra rising,
Yep.
Scorpio rising, Aries rising, whatever, it's telling you the report based on the
Yeah.
house system. So that's just an aside. I always listen to my rising more than I would listen to like a sun or a moon, because it speaks to where it's affecting me in what area of my life.
Yeah, I love that you point that out, because sadly that's a big, I think that perpetuates, the fact that a lot of people don't know that perpetuates the misconception around like the inaccuracy of astrology.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, 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 you're, if you're listening for your rising sign, versus just a general sun sign horoscope, that's going to be much more detailed and much more relevant. So I love that you pointed that out. That's so, so important.
We're learning about snakes. We're learning about listening to astrology reports. I figure if people listen to this, they may listen to astrology reports. So it's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I want to dip back real quick to this Uranus in Gemini because I also want to reveal that in our multiverse community, our grimoire study for October is Uranus.
Yes.
Yes, yes. And so, which it is Uranus, not Uranus. It's Uranus if you nasty. I don't know, but um, doesn't bother me. My identity isn't hung up on it. But what is? But we said Uranus was like this upheaval, this
Yeah.
revolution. It's also a unique identity. It's innovation. It's not just you can think about the tower card in
Mhm.
astrology, or excuse me, in tarot, but you can also think about it like, oh, this is like your funky cool friend who's like not listening to the status quo or doing things because that society told them, right?
Yes, yes. I love Uranian energy. And again, going back to like our natal chart, wherever you have Uranus in your chart, and everyone has a Uranus.
You have a Uranus. I have a Uranus.
Yes. I will make at least one Uranus joke a week for the month of
Perfect.
October, probably. Um, just because, it's me. Uh, wherever Uranus is in your chart is an area where you do things or view things from a unique perspective. So, for example, in our astrology chart, the first house represents the house of the self. So it's our physical appearance. It's as we're moving through the world, what we are picking up on, how we are being perceived. If you have Uranus in your first house, you may be someone who kind of dresses unconventionally. You may be someone who like you look different, you dress different, you do things in a different way that's very personal. So wherever it may be in your
Yeah.
chart, that's just an area where you're naturally an innovator.
And yes, and this again, join us in the multiverse. Come to natal
Mhm.
chart night, because I will say when I had my first natal chart reading back in 2013, I remember her saying, "Oh, you have Uranus in your second house, so what you value and how you make money, Venus energy, what you
Mhm.
conceive to be beautiful, because the second house is ruled by Venus, is going to be unique. And I
Yeah.
definitely make my money in a very weird way, and in a different way. And I think I have a value of unconventionality when it comes to beauty. And when it comes
Yeah.
to Venusian themes. And so, again, which rules the second house.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I think you can really know yourself, and then you are
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, this is where I can get a little my freak flag fly,
Yes.
and get a little weird and do things differently.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and so like right now, transiting Uranus. So we just talked about our natal Uranus
that's
placements.
natal, yes.
Transiting Uranus, meaning Uranus in the sky right now, is moving through Gemini. So one, you can look at wherever Gemini is your chart. That is where Uranus is moving through, and it is clearing out the status quo that does not serve you. It is another quality of Uranus is it is kind of like the lightning bolt insight. One thing I love about the Tower card is the Tower card is most often associated with destruction. The other way I look at the Tower card is it is liberation.
I love that.
Yeah.
Ah,
'Cause I'm like, what if they were trapped in the tower and then
now
the
I leave
lightning?
this damn tower. I've been in this
Yeah,
tower. Get me out of this.
exactly. And lightning's like, okay, I'm gonna get you out, and you're being blown out of this tower. And yeah, it's pretty crazy looking.
It's kind of metal too. It's like,
Right? Yeah, it's like I
leaving
got
the
blown out of the tower,
tower
you
and
guys.
yeah. Burn it down, baby.
Yes, exactly. But it's this liberation from whatever has become restrictive, constricting, whatever has been, toxic, cloying, whatever it might be. Uranus energy busts us out of our ruts. Now, Uranus and Gemini collectively, um, that's, we're seeing, Gemini is mutable air. It deals with information exchange. It deals with local community connection. It also deals with just like the collecting of facts. Yeah, it rules. You know, where we get our news, whether that's a newspaper, whether that's Google, NPR, whatever it might be. It also deals with just connecting. When you're connecting with someone, just to chit chat, just to see what's going on. Gathering information. So with Uranus moving through this sign, we are seeing innovation and upheaval around how we interact with our communities. We're seeing innovation in how we get our information. We're also seeing the other side is we can see disruption in that. We can see issues, and like I just pointed out, um, part of what we're seeing where there's been a lot of discussion and interpretation about the Constitution, about the powers of authority, what they can do around how people are talking, what they are saying, and all of this kind of back and forth. Jimmy Kimmel being taken off air, and then now he's brought back on. It's not just Pluto; it's also Uranus, because Uranus traditionally rules Aquarius. So this also deals with how we, as the collective, are influencing the exchange of information and our
Mm.
connections to each other.
Wow, so it's almost like an opportunity for the people
Mhm,
to have influence on really like information exchange. And kind of reminds me of we were talking, I had the retreat here last week, and
mhm.
we talked about Discord, and
Yeah.
how like literally people are using the people are finding ways to communicate to create revolutions, you're honest, like within
Mhm.
their countries, so how apt.
Yeah, yeah. And I know like you and I have talked about this before about, there's been this kind of migration back to long form social media expression, Substack, blogs are coming back.
This
Podcasts,
us
podcasts are a
right
big deal.
now. Yeah.
Instead of just like the short, the short kind of bit
Yeah.
things where, on TikTok, on Instagram, things like that. Um, And also, there's just kind of this innovation around how we connect. We're seeing the benefit in both online communities and then also like your retreat. You had this retreat and people were like, "Oh my god," because that the retreat is also bringing together people that normally would not ever meet each other in real life because they're all over the place. And so we're finding all of these unique ways. I was actually reading an article about how um, the movie industry is shifting.
How so?
So part of it is AI. And that's another aspect of Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius that we're navigating.
Noted. Yeah, yes, because that's communication and it's
Mhm.
innovation. And so it's probably going to be at the forefront of conversation and
Mhm.
impact in society right now. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so there's that. There's also, it used to be 20, 30 years ago, movies were predominantly made in Hollywood and in New York, and then you had like the Sundance Film Festival.
Mm.
Now there's, Austin within the last 10 years has become a big movie film hub. But then there's also all of these kind of very small film houses that are popping up. And then with the technology, which is also under the umbrella of Uranus,
Yes.
with all the technology, like people like you and me can make movies now,
Yeah.
um, if we want
Which is
to.
how Aquarian is that versus like,
Hmm.
or and how unconventional, like, oh, you have to get an investor and then you have to like blow Harvey Weinstein, and then you have to like to
Right, I
get your
forgot about blowing Harvey Weinstein.
it's part of the process, Tara. And but now you can bypass that, and
Right.
you know, and so like how communal, how new paradigm of that. And I
Yeah.
love that. I mean, it's yeah, it's speaking to the community, it's speaking to the group, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's putting more power, creative power,
Yes.
include it in the hands of the public, which makes it so much less bottom control, top controlling the bottom.
Yes, yes. And that's also to throw another planet in there, that we're going to see more of that when, so right now Neptune is it's going to be in the last couple of degrees of Pisces for the rest of this year, but then it moves into Aries for good
What's
early
this?
next year.
What planet's this? Sorry.
Neptune.
Neptune. Okay.
Neptune and Aries. So Neptune rules the cinema, movies, fantasy. Aries is the
Oh.
individual, the self. So we're going to see and part of what we're going to navigate, because you know, on the one hand, there's lots of examples of where people wanted to tell stories, and the Harvey Weinsteins, the big wigs were like, no, that's not going to sell, we're going to shut that down, or
Yeah.
no, that's too close to the truth, people don't
That
need to know
doesn't
that.
serve my interest as someone who controls a lot of the resources.
Right. Right. So what we're going to see potentially is a lot more just individual self-made movies, oftentimes using AI.
Okay.
And we're going to be
For better
navigating.
or worse, yeah, I guess we
Yeah.
nothing's black and white. Like, can we just take a pause and realize nothing happens, not in astrology, not in politics, not in anything where it's like, finally, the good thing happened and everything's great.
Right.
That
Yes.
never that is not a thing.
Yeah. And
Because
it's
there
just,
is
and that's
no ultimate, this is great for everyone, this is bad for everyone. There's things that
right.
are better and worse, but
Yes.
it's complex. So, okay, go back. So,
It's so
keep on going.
complex. And again, and like that's probably the bigger lesson that we're learning, and we've talked about nuance before, is we're departing from this binary of like, okay, everything is bad and then we're going to do this thing and then everything will be good. We're having to grow up.
Personal
Just
responsibility, sovereignty.
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing too, is in some ways AI is really going to help us. It's really going to there's a lot of benefits to it. It's kind of like when you go back and you look at the Industrial Revolution. Okay, now obviously we're able to do all of this because electricity.
Mhm.
Okay. There are, you can go down the rabbit hole. There are horror stories of the early days of electricity and like the shit that humans did because they just didn't know any better. Like,
Yeah.
don't make toast in the bathtub, you guys. PSA. Just don't do it. But like, people would do shit like that because they just didn't know any better. And
I would
um
totally do that. There's no judgment on my part. Sounds like a
there's
crimsonism. Yeah, go on.
but it's like you look back at any new technology and humans go through a period. There's a long quote, I'm going to do the short version. We always go through this period where we know just enough to be dangerous
Mm.
with anything that we do. We definitely went through it with electricity. We went through it with internal combustion engines. I mean, you look at any technological advancement and there's dumb shit that we did.
Yes, because
And
we don't respect it and its aptitude, and the same thing's going to be with AI.
yes, yes, and that's the reality of it. And so ideally we would look back at our past patterns and be like, oh, okay, we always do this dumb shit first, what if we skip that? Unfortunately, we're like, apparently we're just gonna go right through that like we always do.
We don't learn lessons, Tara.
I know, I
We love
know.
to repeat them.
Yes, yes. So here we are, we're repeating another lesson. The nice thing is we kind of stair step a little bit. We kind of we do some dumb shit, but then we also, ideally we're like, oh, okay, we're not gonna make that mistake again. We're gonna be more aware, even though we're gonna make other mistakes. But um that's another aspect of this Uranus and Gemini, is this technological innovation leaping forward. Um
Mhm.
and it the highest vibration of it is we really are able to connect. Ultimately what happens is Gemini traditionally rules the local community. Uranus represents global energy. So it's bringing the local community in. It's like the global network.
Mm. What came to mind, and I had told you about this, but I don't think I shared it on this podcast, was that I had heard about this report on social media and how actually a lot of people are leaving social media or splitting from social media in um a lot of respect to create group chats.
Yes.
And there's a return to, I wanted this to be for my people. And
Hmm.
I don't want an algorithm interrupting and sending me what it knows I'm addicted to. And instead, I want to return to the socialization of social media. And so a lot of things, and you and I are in a group chat. So I had shared it in the group chat, like, this
Yes.
wasn't just what I learned.
Yeah.
But a lot of people they're saying that group chats, whether that be in, in messages or Facebook or Marco Polo or whatever, Discord, whatever. I don't know if you can do those there, but I'm just trying to name apps to be cool, but I'm not.
Name
So
dropping ads.
wherever you can have a group chat that and people are getting together and they're like bigger. It's like my high school friends, my college friends, my adult friends, my
Hmm.
mom friends, whatever, and how that is starting to replace people's full attention on social media, and so they're engaging less on social media, and because it feels like it brings back the sense of community, but it's still the use of technological innovation.
Yes, yes. And I was reading about that. I remember you had sent that, and I see that too. And yes, for the record, you can do group chats on Discord.
Got it. Thanks.
Pretty much all the shows, all the burlesque shows in Austin that I'm a part of, there's a Discord thread.
Oh, got
And
you. Oh, cool.
yeah, and it used to be before the pandemic, everyone had a Facebook page
Yes.
where we would all be dumped into, and now everyone has a Discord chat where the producer, and you can pin stuff. It's like, hey, here's show order, here's run of tech or whatever it might be. And then within that, there's, a crafting group and like all this stuff. And so the other thing that we're having to navigate, and we're really gonna feel it this month, I think, and this deals with Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius, is part of why everyone is leaving social media is the algorithm has gotten out of hand. It like everything from who you see, you just naturally see, to the ads that you get. Like you've put it so well. You're like showing us ads for what we're addicted to. Um,
Listen, I'm going to watch this,
yeah.
and it also knows what people, and I know people will fight for, well, I can control the algorithm in TikTok versus Instagram versus, at the end of the day, like, are you looking for human connection or are you looking for entertainment? And I think people have learned to differentiate. And from what I understand, social media is just becoming an entertainment platform.
Yes. Yes, and it has also been kind of taken over. It was a game changer for me when I learned that there are certain pages where the people running them are paid based on just comments. So they've done
Oh.
studies about like you can have like cute little kitten videos, but what is going to trump something cute is something where you're getting people to fight with each other.
Oh, people love that. What's it called? The rage baity things.
Yes, the rage
And
bait.
yeah, and it's annoying. And I've even started unfollowing, and I've talked before about how I'm really trying to create a new relationship with social media because I don't even want to be on it. And I'm like, no, you want to be on it, but you just want to be on it in a healthy way. And past people that I recognize, okay, they're starting this way with this hook that's pissing me off,
Mhm.
and getting me enraged about
Yes.
some injustice in the world. And I'm like, I need to unfollow this. Like, I can't, this cannot be my nervous system when I come on here. I already know how I feel in terms of what I
Mhm.
stand for and what's happening in the world. And being a little more intentional with the cultivation of who I follow and stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like it's not really social, it's not really social though, as it used to be in terms of like, oh, keeping up with the friends, keeping up with the
Right.
homies. It's just, a lot of slop and bullshit and rage bait. And people are
Yes.
like, fuck it, I'm gonna start a Discord, I'm gonna start a Marco Polo, or I'm gonna, get a text
Yeah.
thread going where I get to return to the communion with my people.
Yes. And that again, like it goes back because I think too what's also happening with all of this cosmic energy is we're reaching a point where we can no longer ignore how that rage bait makes us feel. And how even when we recognize it, like even when we recognize, oh, you're trying to get me
Yeah.
to click on that, and that feels gross too. There's this desperation, and for for a cool 2 weeks, I had this business coach, and I'll tell you why it only lasted for 2 weeks. They were looking at I had sent them some of my astro reports, because they wanted to get a vibe for like
Yeah.
how do I talk? How do I connect with people? They're looking at my Instagram and they were like, you're too welcoming. And then they were like, and this is not dramatic enough. And I asked them what they meant, and they're like, you need to instill fear in people. Like, and I was
Dang.
like, no, no, bro. Like,
No. And you know what? Okay. Tell me, explain this astrologically. 2020 to 2025, we had such a strange relationship and reliance on technology in
yeah,
terms of what we were feeding our attention to, what we were accepting, what we were thinking was how we needed to engage with it. And something happened in 2025 where everyone's questioning all of that. And what worked in 2020, 2021, 2022, whatever, 2023, even 2024, people are over it. People can sense an inauthenticity. And
yep,
I do believe that it is a return to authenticity that people care about. And no one wants to fucking listen to the astrologer, at least not anyone who's like of consciousness level wants
yeah,
to listen to an astrologer that's predicting ridiculous bullshit every freaking month. Oh, it's going to be
hmm,
World War III. Oh, get this. Oh, make sure you stash your gold. Oh, get your prep bag, whatever.
right. Leave the country.
Yeah, right. And it's like the sensationalism, I think
hmm
I'm exhausted of, and I feel like I kind of tap into. If I'm exhausted of, I'm sure a lot of people are, and are just like, just give me someone fucking real. And guess what? Long format, like we talked about, allows people to be real. It's
Yes.
hard to be fake and manipulative, and because I had an issue with the business coach that I had hired as well,
Mhm.
and how I had to like it like fucked me up, and I had to like step away because I was like, I feel gross,
Yeah.
and if people
Mhm.
sense that, and no one wants that bullshit anymore.
Yeah, no, and it's like, you mentioned 2020 to 2024 and then like this kind of just big shift. A lot of it was the outer planets changing signs. So outer
Okay.
planets, I'm talking about, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. And also we had Saturn and Jupiter also changing signs. And they're not quite personal planets. They're I call them societal planets because their movement really tends to emphasize what we as a society are paying attention to. And so especially when Saturn was going from Pisces into Aries, when Jupiter was going from Gemini into Cancer, both those shifts are a return to um really trusting ourselves. And then really, and again, like there was high and low vibe of Saturn and Pisces. There's high and low. There's going to be high and low vibe of Saturn and Aries, high and low vibe of every planetary transit. But what we were finding, oftentimes, when a planet leaves a sign, that's when we really are aware of kind of the low vibe stuff that we
Mhm.
couldn't quite put a name to. That now that we're out of that energy, we're like, oh yeah, okay, you know,
It's like there was a lot of attention given to like 18-year-old tarot readers on
yes,
TikTok and like 22-year-old day traders on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like there
right,
was this weird like why are we feeding these people attention? They're
yeah,
obviously like don't know what they're doing. Like no
right,
offense to, I'm sure there are some very good, very young
hmm,
tarot readers and day traders, but you know what I'm saying? Like people
yes.
were like giving over power to these people and like, dude, like, and you step back and you're like, well, that was a little dumb, huh?
Right. You're like, whoa, whoa, what was going on here?
And you said, giving away, you said something along the lines of trusting or giving away your power to someone else. I forget what you said. That's kind of
Hmm.
what came up to me.
Yeah, and it was, and I think part of it was, we, especially in 2020, 2021, like 2020 to 2021, I think just collectively we were overwhelmed. I mean, the pandemic, the shift in daily life, that was some epic level messing with our sense of security, our daily routines. Humans are creatures of habit. Like I don't care how innovative you think you are, you all have habits. And it overthrew everything.
And how
And
we engage
so
with technology big time.
yeah, and so part of that was, yeah, we are physically isolated. We don't have the same community. We didn't have the same community connections for a while. So yes, we got online. We started connecting with each other. On the one hand, that was awesome. That was cool. On the other hand, naturally, when we are unsure, and this is a beautiful thing. The natural thing is we reach out to other people. We're like, okay, wow, I'm overwhelmed. I'm gonna reach out to people now. If we tip too far into reaching out to other people and not trusting ourselves, then yes, we start to give
Mhm.
our power away. And we've talked about this before about this huge rise of like the online guru.
Yeah.
And I think it was stemmed from people were feeling unsure about the world, so they're reaching for community. And it's just like, I've made the joke before about I'll go online and look for my herbal witchy stuff. And if I'm not careful, I'll stumble into Tradwife. The Tradwives are like, whoa, whoa, no, I'm a witch.
Oh,
I like having rights. I'm gonna go. I'm just looking for some herbs, you guys. And I think too, people are like,
I'm just
hey,
gonna make bread.
witch.
Yeah. Can I make bread and maintain my anonymity and a
Right.
credit score? Thank you.
Yeah, like I would like to learn how to make bread and keep my house in my name. Like,
Yeah.
just so yeah, and I think a lot of this energy has been, 2025, we're coming out of that. And then this section of 2025 is about we're going to be going through this assessing of, what's the root of a lot of these habits we have
Mm.
of giving away our power, of jumping into something, or the other end of it too. There were some people that really jumped in to the online guru. There were other people that went off the other deep end and were like, I'm gonna homestead and I'm gonna trust nobody.
Wow, you're so right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, and it's this month is a lot, and kind of the final thing I'll say is, the full moon and new moon that we have is in Aries and Libra. So this is all about finding that balance between self and other, and connecting with the world, whether it's connecting one-on-one with someone else or connecting with an online community, doing that in an authentic and embodied way.
Yeah, which reminds me of Venus because Venus is self love
Mhm.
to be authentic, you have to love yourself,
Yes.
instead of thinking that you're not enough and then trying to be something that you're not. It's a radical self-acceptance.
Mhm.
And then to me, being in your body is very Venusian, right?
Yes.
Pleasure, sensuality, very Venusian, and people numb and disassociate instead
Mhm.
because of some kind of avoidance or overstimulation. And so I really like how these energies are playing together.
Yeah, yeah, it's really beautiful because the other thing too with Venus making this interaction with these other planets, the other thing that we're going to start to depart from is, if you crawl on the internet, um, it's really easy to find the low vibe narratives around
Yes,
things. It's really easy to find the bad stuff going on. And this is not to diminish the bad stuff going on. It's
correct.
just to remind us that there is so much good that is happening. And part of our reconnection to local community, I had a friend who came out to one of my shows, and they admitted to me when they saw me, they said, "This is the first time I've been out in like 3 months," and they realized, I know, I was like, "Oh, girl." um, but they realized that they would go to work and then they would get on the internet, and of course the algorithm, because you'll click on stuff and the algorithm feeds you more of those things.
Yeah.
And so it started out with a good intention. They wanted to be informed about, like, what
Yeah.
what was going on in Texas politics, which Lord Almighty. But then of course, like, they kept getting fed that stuff, and
Mm.
then they started to think, oh wow, this is the entire experience out there. And they came to
So
this show, and it was like this awesome diverse group of people, and everyone was loving and fun, and there were local, I mean, it was a wonderful time. And they were like, it scared them that they had forgotten.
yes, and you can
Oh,
find this at the fucking supermarket. Like,
yes.
you're like, "Humans are awful, everyone's terrible, look at this," and you're reading comments and you're doing all of this, and then you go to the grocery store and, like, everyone's so fucking nice,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
like, "Oh, yeah, get me back to reality." Shit has been happening, terrible, awful shit has been
Sure. Yeah.
happening amongst human beings since human beings entered the earth.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we've just never had the ability to witness it and take it all in with this like immediacy and
Yes.
this unfiltered immediacy that we do now. And so, imagine during World War II having all of this technology to be able to have to take in all the atrocities happening then. It's not that you are a bad person for protecting your personal peace by wanting to step away. It's actually the natural way that as humans we've been our nervous system are conditioned to handle, which is not taking in all of the terrors of the world at one time. Stay informed, but learn how to there's a difference between it's a very powerful act to be able to take in this information and not let it crumble you.
Yes.
And if you are finding that is happening, leave the house and release the illusion, the Neptunian illusion that the whole world is an absolute fucking chaos. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so valuable. And it's so important to remember because we're a big thing with, like, the Venus transit, coupled with, Neptune being in the last degrees of Pisces, which is about just connection of all of us, is we're really being given this gift kind of going into the fall, toward the end of 2025, of connecting with, we're going to see that there's so many wonderful, good, like-minded individuals in our local community. And the people that seem different, they're not how they are painted on,
Yes.
yeah, on
It
TV. Like,
the
remember that.
the
Yeah.
us versus them needs to stop. Recognizing we have things in common, and actually, there's a woman that I wish I could remember her name. Who's the girl with the red hair who used to be a fundamentalist Christian that now like kind of speaks oppositionally to it? I can't remember her name. She's wonderful. She's
Yeah, I
got
know
like
what you're talking about.
cool nails and she's real cool. She's
Oh,
very
it's
smart.
like Montmender or something. That's
Yes,
her Instagram handle. I forget her like
Monty
actual name.
Monty something or something.
Yeah, Monty
But
Mander or something.
yeah, she's real cool.
Yeah,
And again, what I actually listened to a podcast with her, and she said, what actually, because she was fundamentalist, and
yeah,
she admits, she said, I did not accept people who were different. I was actually taught, to that anyone who was different was evil, all of these things. And she said, what switched me to being so much more tolerant and open, and that now I fight this fundamentalism, was not people yelling at me. It was actually a few people close to me that just allowed me to be around them and that were very like gentle and kind and had conversations with me. That's what changed me. It was
yes.
not like extremism.
Yeah, yeah, and and I remember having that experience. If y'all don't know, I used to teach high school.
Bless you,
And
child.
yes, yes, and I mean I taught teenagers, and that I learned that lesson when I was teaching teenagers, because if you yell at teenagers, they're not going to respect you. They're going to shut down. They're
Yeah.
never going to ever come to you, listen to you, anything like that. And that was so instrumental because okay, I was in my early 20s. I was like 21, y'all, teaching these 18-year-olds.
You were a
Um,
child yourself.
I was a baby myself, but that was so powerful learning that.
It's such a
Um,
it's such a beautiful, and that feels very, again, dark feminine energy in the sense that it's being in control of your emotions and aware of like the depth that something deserves and not just do what I say.
yes.
Let me use aggressive force,
Yes.
So
Yeah, and I feel too that there have been plenty of times in years past where I would get on the internet and I would yell at someone that never made me feel better.
no, afterwards you're like, "Meh, meh."
Yeah, I'm like, ah, shit. But I have had times where even when that person refused to see my point of view, but if I came at it at a calm, collected, like firm, like, hey, you know, um, you know, I disagree with what you said and blah blah or whatever it may be. If I have come at it from a place of like, okay, I presented this information, even if they were like, go fuck yourself, I did at least feel better knowing like, okay, you know what? I was the more mature person. In a
Yeah.
perfect world, yeah, they'd see my point, they'd be cool with, whatever. They're not, but at least I know that I
I've
was respectful.
I've never seen a something of someone screaming or a video that's extreme and rage filled that was of opposition of what I already believed that made me change or maybe
Right.
even think. Only things that have made me think is like calm conversations with people where you're like, oh, okay, like I actually see where that's coming from. I don't agree with it. And then also, I actually see how I've projected onto them something that is like far beyond and so extreme that they don't embody. You know what I mean? So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So just I don't even remember what that had to do with astrology, but
It's all the air energy.
it's
Like
all the air
it's
energy.
it's all the air
Tara
energy.
said this month. So yeah, do you want to sum up and give us advice of how that we can as conscious witches and magical practitioners move through this month ahead?
Yeah, so I definitely what I recommend is, continuing with any kind of embodiment rituals because with all this air energy, we're gonna feel really comfortable with the mental pursuits, which are awesome. Like, as above, so below. But this energy can get really heady. And so connecting with our embodiment practices and anytime, any kind of embodiment ritual, especially when we are in our heads, whether we're having racing thoughts, whether just, we're puzzling through something. And then the other thing too, as we were just talking about, having these calm connections with people, conversations with people, because a lot of the time, one, okay, even if they don't end up agreeing with you, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel like, okay, you know what? I'm aware of what I believe. On the other hand, as you just said, that is where we're going to see that we have a lot more in common than we do differently.
It's productive.
Um, yeah, yeah, and it's going to be. I really just recommend um connecting with people that you normally maybe wouldn't think you'd have a lot in common with. And that can be like you're going to the witches market. And it can be something as simple as you're stopping at a stall that you normally wouldn't stop at. And the other thing too is just any kind of, whether it's a journal practice or whether it's talking into your phone. I know some of you like to do, voice notes to yourselves. But anything where just whatever is kind of on your mind, because as we go through October, this is a big integration month from the eclipses. So being aware of just like what keeps coming up for you and seeking out the genuine connection with people, not necessarily echo chambers.
Ooh, that part.
Yeah.
That takes,
Yeah.
and all of this requires being able to manage your emotions, being able to have like depth of conversation without being triggered,
Yeah.
being able to release yourself from a mental spiral and not
Yes.
allow this air energy to control you. All of these require some form of being in body and somatic processing. So I will end saying,
Mhm.
visit Tara. Tara teaches somatic alchemy, and there's also other wonderful classes at Nocturna in Austin.
Yes.
Um, right now, I am teaching weekly movement classes in the multiverse. The esoteric ritual is our somatic processing. Move your body in a way that isn't punishment, in a way that allows you to access and process emotions, energies, expressions in your body that root you in, that don't further disassociate you or punish you. Tara and I do this work and we're very passionate about it, as well as all the instructors in at Nocturna and in the multiverse, because we see the value of how it has impacted our life and makes us more grounded and happy and magical humans. And so
Yes.
I will also hint at our next podcast guest will be Sarita, the owner of the main mistress at Nocturna in Austin. So we'll make sure we talk more about that in our next podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah, Tara. Oh, we went long on this one, but you
All
are
good.
and Tara is teaching somatic alchemy in the multiverse this month while I am getting witchy with Veronica Varlo's Witches in New Orleans. So, y'all, there's so many opportunities for you to do this work with us, but I speak for both of us. You can affirm that we're so grateful that you stay tuned and listened or watched this as long as you did. It means a lot to me. Thank you for allowing us to be in your ear holes.
Yes. Love yourselves, love each other, and happy stargazing.
And thank you for joining us. Mwah, thank you, Tara. This was wonderful.
Yay! Bye, y'all.
Thank you for joining. Follow me on Instagram at crimson.minx and visit esoerotic.com to learn to live more fully and unapologetically in your magnetic power, sensual pleasure, and unlimited creative potential.